Hi all, this is Skate, and there is a huge update coming to World of Warships Blitz. And as part of that update are the first Russian ships to come into the game, which are the Russian cruisers from Tier 1 to Tier 10. They are all being showcased quickly on the screen at the moment, starting from Tier 1 all the way up to Tier 10. Aside from these ships, there are two new premium ships in the game, one being the Tier 6 Russian cruiser, the Molotov. It's basically got really long range guns for its tier. And there's also a new US premium ship, which will be the Texas. It is a battleship and it has very good air defense for its tier. But I will cover those two premium ships in another video because, well, there's 10 new ships on a new tech tree line. But that's not all we have to cover in this update video. There is a huge amount of other changes. So the ships, I'm going to show them in said video just so we can go over what's in the update. I can't really cover all the ships and all the other things they have updated in this update coming up in depth within a realistic window. So what I'm going to do is, well, obviously we're showing the ships now. I've got some footage then to show you of the Moskva, which is the Tier 10 Russian cruiser. We can run through the footage of the Moskva, we can show you some of the details of the Moskva, and then obviously run through the rest of the details while playing said footage. Now, here it is, and it's a damn good looking ship. And on top of that is an absolute barrel of laughs to play. Now going up this line, you're going to learn to use the torpedoes all the way up until you hit Tier 9. Tier 9 has torpedoes, and the main guns obviously, but when you hit Tier 10 in this thing, it has main guns and secondary guns. And it's the guns on this thing which make it hysterical fun. Now the reason I say it's hysterical fun is because it is very fast action paced, which is kind of strange to say when you're in a ship. But obviously we have full control of the secondaries in World of Warships Blitz, which means when you're in this ship, you don't stop firing. You fire off your main guns, you switch to your secondaries, you fire off your secondaries, you then fire off your secondaries again, and then you're straight back into your main guns, and you literally non-stop firing. And it's that which makes the gameplay in this thing so much fun. Especially if you've gone all the way up the line, you've got used to the torpedoes. I suppose it's kind of frustrating then when you get to the top tier then you don't have your torpedoes, which you've been learning to use on said ships. But, oh, it's so much fun. Honestly, this ship has been amazing fun to play. I'll go into all the real in-depth stuff in another video. I won't have time to do that and the rest of the update in this one. But this ship is definitely one worth going for. And it's the first Russians in World of Warships Blitz. And as I mentioned, you are constantly firing with this. In fact, it has one of the best rate of fires in the game. And it's still quite mobile. So it's got the mobility. It's got insane rate of fire. And if you look at the shell trajectory now, it has a very flat trajectory. So at long range, you're not going to be going up and then straight back down into the decks. If anything, you are still going to be hitting the side of the ship, even at long range. However, at long range, you are more likely to hit it because it has such a flat trajectory. It needs a very good shell velocity. And having good shell velocity makes it much easier to hit ships at long range or destroyers on the move. So there's a lot of good parts to this ship. So what are the drawbacks? Well, here's one thing I learned very quickly. They have very big, very easily hit citadels. And this applies to the entire Russian line pretty much. If you give a ship your complete broadside, there's a probability, and it's a very good probability, that they are going to get citadel shots on you. Absolutely no problem at all. Now I sat here and went, hang on. Russians, they got great rate of fire, great guns, but they have big, weak citadels. Where have I heard this story before? Oh yeah, Amorax. It's pretty much the same with their ships as it is with their tanks. They're balanced by the fact that you can get very, very nasty shots on the squishy, weak parts of them. Now, obviously, I learned this very quickly, and the reason I learned this very quickly is every ship I tried the first time, I went, how the hell am I getting hit in the citadels so much? And the answer is, I was quite simply given too much of the side of the ship, which is pretty much saying it's my own stupidity. That being said though, it's important to consider what ship is shooting at you, because even angled up against a tier 9 and a tier 10 battleship, they're still going to penetrate all day long, and they're still going to hit those citadels. Well, there's still a very good probability of them hitting those citadels. So that is definitely something to watch out for on this line. But that aside, it's a fantastically fun ship, and the rate of fire honestly is just, it makes the ship, it makes it hysterical fun to play, because even if you miss a shot, you've got another one in the bank ready to go very, very quickly. So when these ships do hit the live server, I will definitely be going up this line. But we'll leave it there for now with that ship. I know I've missed many details out, but we'll cover that in a separate video in more depth. There's many other things I need to cover in this update. And the reason I want to make sure I cover them is because they are pretty significant and pretty big in terms of gameplay and changes to how you need to play. I mean, the game is still in very, very early days, which is why I know some of you are already typing in the comments, when is it coming to my server, when is it coming to my region? Truth be told, guys, there is no specific defined date yet. They have a ballpark in mind, and the ballpark is obviously ASAP to every server. And while launching it out, they are still making massive changes to the games, like this. The matchmaker will only put you in a team with one ship higher or one ship lower tier. Never more. Previously you had a lot more. All ships from now cannot maintain their speed while turning, which to be fair is the way it should be. It's more realistic, it adds to the realism, and you previously would have seen ships just flying around corners at full speed. It doesn't work like that anymore, thankfully. Next one is a minor point, but it's handy. The weapon reloading bars will appear grey if your gun can't fully traverse around to what you're aiming at. Now, that seems like a very trivial thing. However, if you're trying to concentrate on something like a destroyer by here, who you are worried about trying to get too close to you, you sometimes don't notice that one of the bars is a slightly different colour at the bottom, and you can't fully traverse your gun round. It's a very minor, but it's a very handy thing. A next big change though is every single torpedo in the game is changing. They are reducing the speed of every torpedo by 13 to 18%. Which means obviously you need to learn to be more accurate with the torpedoes. On top of that though, they're buffing the concealment by 15 to 30%, which means it's going to be harder to detect said torpedoes. And then we look at the main guns. Every single ship in the game has had the shell speed reduced by 12 to 15%. And that's for every single ship in the game. However, most ships in the game have now received an accuracy improvement with this update. All battleships' main battery shell maximum dispersion has been reduced by 33.3%. That is one hell of a buff in accuracy. But then again, that is what battleships are all about. Massive armor, massive guns. All tier 5 or higher cruisers' main battery shell max dispersion has been reduced by 16.7%. So it's not 33.3, but it's still a big improvement. All US destroyers' main battery shell maximum dispersion has also been reduced by 16.7%. On top of that, the Chester, the St. Louis, Omaha and Marblehead have all received a 5% buff to the shooting range of their main guns. The Phoenix receives 7%, Wyoming 4 or minus 4% actually, and the Des Marine also -4%. So as with the torpedoes, the changes they're making will require you adjust the way you play the game to obviously cater for these changes, which is why I wanted to make this update video so much, because I think it's important to share this information so you're aware of the change, rather than, well, this gun feels different, or those torpedoes aren't going as fast. You're aware of what they'll be, so you're almost keeping an eye out for it then. That's what I would like anyway. Now obviously if torpedoes are changing and the main guns are changing, yes, secondary guns are changing as well. But in terms of secondary guns, there is no sweeping changes, as in changes to all ships. It's more targeted, but it's good. It's very good. Most ships, well actually no, a lot of ships are seeing an increase in secondary guns. I first saw this and I thought, they're nerfing all the secondaries. When I originally glanced at it, I thought they were extending the reload time. However, that's not what these stats are. They're adding guns. All on the left hand side there, you can see have 12 guns at the moment as secondaries, and they are being increased to the number on the right hand side. For example, the New Mexico currently has 12 secondary guns. Well, when this update comes out, it's going to have 20 secondary guns. It's so childish, but I'm really looking forward to watching 20 shells travel towards some poor little destroyer. So yeah, that's what that list on the left hand side is. Now to balance this a little bit, they are making changes to the amount of damage your secondary guns will do, or potentially do rather. Because we are talking secondaries, as a result we are talking high explosive shells. So the Chester, the St. Louis, the South Carolina, presently, that's quite a big nerf actually. At the moment they do 200 or maximum 240 damage. That's going to be dropped to 160 per HE shell. Then the Wyoming, New York, New Mexico and Colorado, they all do 320 at the moment. That's going to be going to a 250. And then obviously the rest of the list with Pensacola, etc. is all on the left hand side there. So basically you're getting more guns, you're going to be firing more shells, but in some circumstances those shells are going to be doing less damage per shot. Just look at those guns on the screen at the moment though. They don't half fire like hell. Like I said earlier, this Moskva, you're constantly firing the guns. And yes, I do still hate that fire extinguisher, but look at the guns now. You fire in the secondaries, look how quick the reload is, and back to the mains, straight back through to the secondaries. It's fun for that reason. You are constantly trying to fire off your batteries and just dish out the damage. But I'll cover that in another video. I'm going to ramble on otherwise. There is another big change to the game, which is very important. Destroyers. Destroyers are changing quite a bit. And it seems like a trivial thing, but it's not. It means people are going to need to be more select, as they should be, with their ammo type. Now, these changes to the destroyer class, every destroyer in the game actually, are to obviously improve survivability. So what they've done is increased the chance of an over-penetration on destroyer armor when it's against too powerful AP shells. What was basically happening is you could fire from your battleship, on World of Warships Blitz anyway, a shed ton of AP shells, and rather than overmatch enough, well, too much to obviously overpen, they would pretty much do full damage, which means many destroyers just received a sudden death very quickly. So what they have done is increase the chance of an overpenetration when using AP. However, to balance that, what they've done is make destroyers a little bit more vulnerable to HE. Now, obviously, they are vulnerable to HE anyway, they have light armor. However, they've increased, basically, the chance of an over pen with AP, and they've increased your chances of doing full pen with a HE. The only other thing worth noting in regards to the destroyers, then, is the original rudder survivability has been reduced by 25% for all destroyers. Other than that, they have added 2 new maps, one for tier 1 to 5 and one for tiers 5 to 10. I was going to say 5 to 6, but you know what I mean. But that is all for this video. I'm going to get some more World of Warships stuff done ASAP, as I have missed playing it because I've been so damn busy. But thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.